Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Did you know that we don't have identity cards here in the UK? That's right, there's no ID cards. Strange, isn't it? Well, one of our politicians, a very famous politician, Tony Blair, he's one of our ex-prime ministers, he's calling for all of us to have digital ID cards. Now, this would be very, very controversial for us because part of our democracy is that the government can't identify us on first sight. There isn't any central database outlining who we are. The reason why there isn't is because there was always a fear that perhaps it might be used for bad things. For example, to racially profile us, or to group together people by hair colour and eye colour. Perhaps worse still, to identify people in a certain area or people who hold certain religious beliefs. Ever since the war, the Second World War, we've been very careful not to gather data about people. And if you think that's not good, you should see Belgium. They don't know anything about the people who live there. Anyway, when we go to the bank to open a bank account, or if we need to prove who we are, the companies concerned, like banks for example, usually tell us that we need to provide the ID. So, for example, if I go to the bank today and try to open a bank account, the bank will tell me, okay, prove to me who you are. It's up to you to do it. You have to prove who you are. And then I have to go and find my passport, my letter from my landlord, or some other documentation like a work ID with a photo on it, or driving license, whatever I can find. And if I can't find anything, then I'm in trouble. Let me explain. So when I lived in Spain, I opened a bank account, of course, but when I came back to the UK, I tried to open a bank account here again. And when I went to the bank, they said, okay, prove to me who you are then. And I thought, how am I going to do this? Well, here's my passport. And the bank said, yeah, fine, but you also have to prove where you live. And I said, well, I'm not at a permanent address yet. I've only just came back. I'm still in a hotel. And the woman said, well, if you can't prove to me your address and you can't open a bank account. And I said, yeah, but I'm as British as a British tomato. Okay, that's a bad example, but I'm as British as a British person. Look at me. I'm completely white and I speak English. And she said, no, you need something. You need a document of some kind. And I couldn't open a bank account. So finally, what I did was I remembered that I had a very old bank account that I'd forgotten about from many years ago. So fortunately, I just went to that bank and said, hi, need to give you new details. Haven't used your bank account for a while. Sorry, is everything okay? And because that bank account was already open, there was no problem. So it's a little bit difficult. So we have to prove who we are in the UK. So no ID cards can be a bit of a problem. Our police aren't allowed to just stop you randomly on the street and say, okay, show me your ID. They would be in trouble if they did that. Our police can only communicate with us if they think that maybe we are doing something wrong, like a crime, or if they think that there's information that they have to give us, like the next road is closed, go somewhere else. But they're not allowed to actually approach us just to say, okay, who are you? Show me your ID. We don't have ID to show them anyway. And if I did need to show the police my ID, they would say, okay, do you have any ID? I would say, no. They would say, okay, bring it to the station tomorrow. And that's it. That's how we are. So, yeah, no identity cards. Anyway, Tony Blair, our ex Prime Minister, he is calling for ID cards to be compulsory. Now, if they did bring in ID cards, there would have to be some reassurance that the government can't access the database unless the court is involved, because they don't want the government to see anything about us. The digital ID card would only be for some kind of basic identity purpose. I'm not sure they could give us that assurance. As well as that issue with the ID cards, there are other issues as well, such as who pays for it? What if we lose it? I don't think it would really help us very much in opening a bank account, but I don't know. And also, if they did give us all digital ID cards, they would also have to give us a right not to want one. So they couldn't make it compulsory for all of us. I think they only did that once before, and it was during the war. They had to give us ID for the purposes of rationing food. So these are things which are very, very interesting. So no ID cards. Of course, if the government really want to know who I am, they can easily find out, because most of us here have passports, driving licenses, bank accounts, as far as I know, are not accessible by the government because they're all private. But the government would know. So, ID card or not, I'm sure they would find me if they really wanted to be honest with you, through my health service records, dental records, or something, I guess. That's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this. See you. Bye.